Obviously, things have slowed down a lot and home prices are heading in a downward direction. Is this the start of the Toronto real estate market crash that many have called for over a decade? I'm sure you've been hearing a lot of conflicting opinions on this topic, and I'm sure you have your own thoughts about what's happening or what's going to be happening in the future. But I can tell you what you're seeing and give you a perspective that I don't think is really talked about a lot. A perspective that may make you happy or upset depending on how you look at things, but still, it is a perspective that's loaded with fact and historical reference, and hopefully it'll give you a good frame to look at the market of today and kind of formulate your own opinion about what you think is going to happen going into the future. What's up, everyone? It's Nick Vasquez here, and we are back with another video where, like we promised last week, we are going to tackle the big question of, is the real estate market going to crash? Before we do that though, if you do find this information valuable or informative, if it helps you in any way at all, please just do me a huge favor and hit that thumbs up button. It does let me know that you're liking the videos, and it does motivate me to keep putting out content on the channel. Also, while you're at it, please just hit that subscribe button with notifications turned on. Would seriously appreciate it. Also, quick note, please watch the full video. I may say some things that you might not like, or you might get mad at me or whatever, but please just let me lay out all the facts and how I'm thinking about this stuff before you kind of form an opinion and write me off as a crazy kook. To be honest, I don't really have a strong opinion of what I think is going to happen. I'm kind of just looking at things from all directions and kind of weighing things out as I go day by day, but I am kind of leaning towards one direction based on what I'm going to be talking about in this video and based on the facts that I have, so you'll see what I mean there. And of course, I don't have a crystal ball, yada yada. Please don't take my head off if I get my predictions wrong, or even if they do come correct. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just looking at what's happening today and trying to formulate a prediction of what I think might happen. So back to the question, is the Toronto real estate market going to crash? Honestly, it's hard to say. On one hand, prices are trending downwards as both sellers and buyers are kind of scared to make some moves right now. There's a lot more choice for buyers in the market right now. There's a lot less competition, and there's a lot more negotiating room for those buyers. I've been seeing houses sell for $200,000 to $300,000 less than they would have if they were sold at the peak back in late January, early February, and it certainly kind of feels a little recession-y to me right now. However, on the other hand, prices are still up 15% compared to last year, and the drop in prices that we have seen over the past couple of months basically is just wiping out the crazy gains that we saw at the beginning of 2022. Check out this graph right here. Those gains that we saw at the beginning of the year were really unnatural. The market definitely felt very toppy at the time, and it does make sense that the insane run-up in prices that we saw was just not sustainable. It was also expected that once interest rates start rising, things were going to slow down. We knew this was coming, so it's not really a huge surprise that the market is reacting this way. However, I don't think the market's going to crash, and here's why. Simple supply and demand. We still have a supply and demand imbalance, and that discrepancy is expected to keep prices higher than they were last year. Going forward, I do think it's very likely that we will see prices stabilize or even drop a little bit more before going back on an upward trend. However, I don't think it's going to be a crazy upward trend. I think it's going to be a lot more moderate. Another thing to consider here is buyer psychology, which I'm going to use an analogy to try to help explain. Have you ever seen like a flock of birds flying? They're all going one direction, and then one bird changes directions, and then instinctively they all kind of follow along, right? This is kind of what happens with buyers in the real estate market. Most people like to do things that feel safe to them, and when you see other people buying real estate, you see prices going up, you see everyone else kind of doing it, it kind of feels like, hey, maybe it's a good idea to buy some real estate, maybe it's a good idea to make a move. Everyone else seems to be doing it, and prices are going up. There's a lot of money to be made because appreciation is so strong right now. It does feel safe to do that because everyone else is doing it, and that's all you're kind of hearing about. However, as soon as there is a change in market conditions, everyone freezes. Everyone becomes scared because they don't know what to do. They don't know what the right play is, and they're not sure what to do because everyone else is scared as well. No one knows what the safe play is. Something that we have seen all the time in history is that whenever there's something that changes in the market, whenever the norm changes, there's always a lull. And then once things go back to being the norm, activity resumes. So for example, back in 2017 when they added the stress test, the market lulled and there was a little bit of a correction there for about a year, and then prices started to go back up again. Another example, when COVID-19 hit in March of 2020, there was a lull in the market for a few months where prices started to go down, and then just like that, they started shooting up again because everyone started resuming buying and activity in the market kept going. In both examples, there was an external force that affected the market and everyone froze. In both of those examples, prices started to go down. But once that change in market conditions became the norm and everyone kind of adjusted to the new normal, prices started to go back up. And in the case of the pandemic, they shot up. My point with all this is just to explain that we might just be in a market lull right now, it would make sense. The Bank of Canada raised rates rather aggressively, a little more aggressively than I think some people were expecting, and that really put a shock through the system. Many people are scared to move forward with their plans to buy or sell just because there's just a lot of uncertainty. No one really knows what's gonna happen. No one knows how high rates are gonna go or how the market is gonna react to all these rate hikes. And it's very valid to be scared because, like I said, no one knows what's gonna happen. But once interest rates stabilize and everyone kind of adjusts to the new normal, you know, they get used to the fact that rates are just higher than they were over the last couple of years, I do kind of think that market activity is going to start happening again and prices are going to start going back up. Because of this lull, there is going to be a lot of pent-up demand, all right? The demand's not really going to go away. People still need to buy and sell homes. Now, another thing, immigration's not gonna magically stop. There are gonna be a lot of people that are going to be moving to the GTA, and that's just gonna cause more demand. Of course, some people are gonna get pushed out of the market just because rates are gonna be higher, it's gonna be harder to afford a home. Also, prices are just super high right now as it is, but most of the people that are gonna get pushed out of the market are gonna be the people that were on the fringe to begin with. People that could barely afford a home as it is with the low interest rates, those people unfortunately are probably not gonna have a chance, at least in the GTA. They probably have to leave and find another town to move to. And then most likely the people that would have bought a detached might get pushed out of that market and then start looking at semis. The people that would have bought a semi might get pushed to the townhomes, and etc. I don't think the raising interest rates are gonna be a strong enough factor to just completely crash the market and switch things over to a buyer's market. I'm also not suggesting that prices are gonna keep rising in double-digit increases every month like we've been seeing over the past 2 years. That's definitely not sustainable. I think we're gonna see more moderate growths in price going forward. Like I said, there's just simply not enough supply to satisfy the demand, even though the demand is kind of taking a break right now. That imbalance, I think we will still feel it in the future. Another thing to consider and add to this complex equation is inflation. So the government, obviously over the pandemic, printed a lot of money and added all that stimulus to the economy, which made inflation run rampant. And inflation has now hit levels that we haven't seen in decades. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, basically the government just printed money and added more money to the economy, making the dollar worth less and making items cost more. Because of the fact that there's just more money in circulation, the dollar becomes worth less. And because there's all this extra money being pushed into the economy, the prices of everyday items start going up. So that includes your groceries, going out to restaurants, your gas, your rent, and your real estate. And as the price of everything starts going up, the value of the dollar decreases. You're gonna need more money to buy the same things. So like I said, even if interest rates do affect this market negatively, it's very likely that the price of homes will still go up because of inflation. However, the value of the home is gonna stay the same. So if you believe in inflation and you believe in the impact that it has on the market, then realistically, home prices still have a long way to go. They're just gonna keep going up. Think about it like this way. In 30 years, the average home price could be over $3 million. Just let that sink in. Of course, if you're thinking about prices right now and how they're over $1 million right now, you're probably thinking that's way too high. There's no way the average price is gonna go to over $3 million. It's gotta come down. 1 million's already too high. But think about a home that was bought 30 years ago. I'm gonna throw up a chart right here and take a look. In 1990, the average home was bought for $255,000. I'm sure if you lived back then and you were gonna buy a home in 1990, you would have thought that $250K is way too much for a home. Just look at the prices of 1980 and tell me that people were not complaining about 1990. They definitely were, because prices were a lot higher. Now, fast forward 30 years to 2020, and home prices have gone up by 330%. Now, if you apply that same percent to 2020 and see what home prices would be in 30 years, we're looking at over $3.6 million for the average price of a home. Basically, all I'm trying to say is that inflation is a real thing and it's gonna support the growth of home prices. That's just a fact, that's just what we've always seen in history, and that's gonna happen. So whether the market's going down right now or not, 30 years from now, home prices are gonna be a lot more than they are today. Now, I could be completely wrong, like I said. I don't actually know what's gonna happen. This is kind of what I've been thinking about though, so please don't take my head off. This is just kind of what I'm thinking and what I think is probably gonna happen, but I don't know for certain. I'm just looking at the market in general and the economy and just trying to figure things out. I'm listening to smarter people than me talk about this and just trying to formulate my own opinion, package it up, and give it off to you guys. I hope this is helpful for you. Anyways, I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think I'm hitting it on the head? Do you think I'm way off base here? What do you think about what's going on? I'd love to have an open discussion with you, so just drop a comment and let's chat about it. That's all I got for now, so I do hope you found this information valuable and informative. If you have any questions, if you want to chat more about this, if you want to buy or sell in the GTA, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact info is right there. You can hit me up whatever way works for you. And again, like I said at the top of the video, if you do like the video, please hit that thumbs up button. Would seriously appreciate it, and double check to make sure that you are subscribed. Thank you so much for watching. Drop your thoughts below. I'd love to hear it. Have a great week.